my fellow cinematic architects, and welcome to Remake This Movie Right. We are a member of the Hollywood Outsider Network. You can listen to episodes of Remake This Movie Right on iTunes, where reviews are appreciated, Stitcher Radio, throw our RSS feed into your podcast app of choice, or just visit the website, remakethismovieright.com. For this episode of Remake This Movie Right, we are remaking Point Break. Dare I say, Keanu's best film?
Whoa, bro.
If at the end of this episode you have your own pitch for the remake of Point Break that you want to submit, email it to remakethismovieright@gmail.com. That's remakethismovieright@gmail.com, and we will read the best pitches on our next teaser episode. I am your host, Aaron Peterson, and joining me today are my fellow host, Brian Williams.
What's going on?
What's going on? And Justin McCumber.
Are you ready for this? Just kidding. We're not doing that.
How's it going?
It's going pretty good. How are you? It's going well. Shoot.
Oh, it's okay.
I hate it when people say good in response to how are you doing, and I just did it. I am doing well.
I hate when people correct you about it when you say you're doing good, and they're like, no, you're doing well. No, I'm doing good.
No, you're not.
Yes, I am.
If you're doing good, you're bringing me like free monies or delivering food.
Isn't that goods? Wouldn't that be goods that I'm bringing? Not. If this is your first time listening to Remake This Movie Right, I apologize. But it is a show where we take the original film that has an actual remake in the works, figure out what clicks and what doesn't, throw a bit of humor at it, and then determine exactly how Hollywood should remake it. So by the end of each episode, we will have the remake ready to roll for Hollywood execs and present it to you in movie trailer form. We are here to tell Hollywood how to remake this movie right.
I think we're a little late on this one.
Here's a little trick. Point Break has already been remade. I think it's done, right? I mean, it's coming out.
Yeah, it's coming out soon.
It's coming out at Christmas, and we'll talk about the actual remake in a little bit. But we have no preference. We can remake whatever we want as long as it hasn't been the remake hasn't been released yet. So we're golden. We're good. How many of you guys saw this one in the theater? I'm curious.
I did. Yeah.
Did you like it when you saw it at the theater?
Yeah, I had a good time. Yeah.
You don't sound very convincing. You're like,
God, I mean, it's
24 years ago.
Yeah, it was a while ago.
I had to remember where the hell I was, much less if I even seen it.
Did you see it in the theater, Justin?
Yeah, I did. It seemed like forever ago because it kind of was. I remember liking it. I remember thinking that was a lot of fun. But it compared to today's action films, it's pretty light.
Rewatching
then it was okay. Now it is light.
For me, the worst part of the whole movie is that my favorite part was the rat song at the end. And
it's a good song though.
Yeah, I like that song, and it's like, oh, so it ended on a high note. But throughout the movie, I'm like, I didn't realize it at the time or over the years, but Keanu has finally became the actor. He's finally became an actor recently because here he's like, whoa, all those stereotypes and all those jokes you hear. I'm pretty sure they all came from this one movie. This and Bill and Ted. It sure seems that way.
Bill and Ted, but serious. It's just
whoa.
And instead of George Carlin, you've got.
George Carlin?
Yeah, George Carlin. We are now faced with.
I have Fresh Prince in my head now.
What's his face? The guy who played Pappas. Oh, Gary Busey.
Oh
Gary
man,
Busey.
He's on Amazon. Yeah, I love Gary Busey. This is before we went nuts. A little background on Point Break. Zero Dark 30, Catherine Bigelow is the one who actually directed this movie. This is when she was still with James Cameron, because James Cameron actually helped her finish the script. Little tidbit. Starred Keanu Reeves as Johnny Utah, a former quarterback and now FBI agent. I might add, the worst FBI agent I've ever seen on film. And he's sent undercover to catch a bunch of surfing bank robbers led by Patrick Swayze's Bodhi. It was released July 12th, 1991. Any guess on what this movie made?
$55 million.
In America?
Yeah.
Just strictly America? I am going to go with $1, Bob. $1. No, I would probably say, I'm going to say $75 million.
$43 million. 43. So it was not really, even back then, was not considered a hit. Made $85 million worldwide, though, so it did fine.
So if you factor in inflation and that stuff, that's probably about the equivalent of
$6
what,
billion.
175 million?
Yes, roughly. Yeah, roughly.
Okay.
175 million.
If you adjust for inflation, it's beating Titanic.
James Cameron is still crying about that.
It still made twice as much or 3 times as much money as Fantastic Four. So,
Ooh. So soon. So soon.
Burn.
Well, here's a few tidbits. Tell me if you guys have heard any of these, okay? Or if you're like, what? Patrick Swayze was an accomplished skydiver, and he did take part in that big skydiving scene in the movie.
Oh, yeah.
Keanu Reeves, he actually learned to surf for this role, and he still surfs as a hobby to this day.
That's cool.
that's cool.
That's a little fun fact. This is funny. These are people that actually were offered the role of Johnny Utah and turned it down. Matthew Broderick.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah, Ferris Bueller.
Dodge that bullet.
Dodge that bullet in the sky, because that's where he shoots. Straight up. And Val Kilmer. Val Kilmer. I actually think he would have been great.
Back in that day,
Yeah.
probably. Today's,
Well, not now.
well,
He's
no.
400
Yeah,
pounds.
he'd be a good Pappas.
He would be good. He would be a good Pappas.
God, I
That's
should have
where
wrote
he's
that
aged
down. It just
into.
hit me.
Originally, like I said, James Cameron actually helped rewrite the final script with Catherine Bigelow because there's some issue with the Writers Guild America. And this is the first of 2 movies in which Keanu Reeves plays a former Ohio State quarterback. Can you guess what the other one is? Either one of you.
Oh, The Replacements.
Absolutely correct. You win. What do we have for him? Nothing.
Nothing.
Not a thing. And the F word, which we can't say on this show, is said 105 times. I did
Was
not
this a
realize.
movie or a Dice Clay
That's
concert?
what I was thinking. I saw that, and then I'm watching the movie. Wow, they really do drop the F-bomb quite a bit. Quite a bit.
I call
Half of
that Tuesday.
All right, so first question on the original. What makes this movie worth remaking? What's unique? What makes it something that deserves to be brought into the 20th century, 21st century? What century are we in? I don't know. Justin?
Well, I mean, to put it like that, I mean, what makes it worthy of being brought in? That's almost impossible to answer because, a lot of what it kind of established, the young hotshot bureau guy coming in to investigate something that only he can because of his age. I don't know how many movies did it before Point Break did, but now tons of them have done it. I mean, what was the film that I recently said was Point Break in Cars?
Fast and the Furious?
Yeah, Fast and Furious.
Yeah.
As Paul Walker is basically playing Keanu. It kind of established a motif. I think it would be nice to have the film maybe come back and own that motif a little better than it did way in the day. But I think, the things I liked about it was that it was a young hotshot guy paired up with an older guy, and together, these two ends of the, I don't want to say age spectrum, but at least as far as agents go, they come together to solve a crime that people are dismissive of, or at least their ideas of who's committing it, they're all dismissive of. So, the old wizened guy, the young apprentice, that never gets old.
Well, yeah, nobody would have thought a surfer gang was on the loose. I could see why that would be. I don't believe
sell.
you. Yeah, really dangerous surfers. That doesn't seem like quite a thing.
They don't know Bodhi.
They don't. Look at his hair. You could tell. Brian, what about you? What's unique, or what makes the movie worth bringing forward?
Well, it did have, there was a very small amount, mind you, but there was a little bit of mystery. You weren't really sure for probably half of the movie, even though you suspect it was Patrick Swayze, you really weren't too sure until, the big chase or what have you. So I think it's got there's a lot to do with the chemistry between Bodhi and Johnny Utah, and there's also the chemistry between Utah and Pappas. You've got the kind of the FU towards
The man.
the man. I forget his name, but you don't know squat.
Oh, your Blue Flame special.
John McGinley, right? Wasn't it
John C. McGinley's
Yep.
character.
I think he was
right.
responsible for half of those F words.
Yeah, he was. Yeah. And about 20 other cuss words I didn't know were cuss words then. So learned that the hard way.
So yeah, I think a lot of it's got to do with Justin's right. This is a basic plot that, yeah, you're welcome. There's a basic plot stuff here that has been done quite a bit. But for the most part, I think a lot of this movie has got to do with maybe the tone of it, but also the chemistry with a lot of the different characters.
And before we move on, let's not forget this movie's got naked surfer chicks beating the crap out of FBI agents and sometimes stabbing them.
Yeah, that part was actually pretty fantastic. I'm like,
I was like,
Keanu is getting his ass kicked in a bathroom by a naked surfer. That's fantastic. I did not know that was. I didn't
those
remember
chicks
that.
were not going down without a fight. Their men were getting fought for.
My favorite part was the screw you to the band, and I think some of it was a little. I think a lot of people didn't catch it at the time, but the President's Mask. I mean, that whole thing was an analogy for we're fighting against the man. You know, here's your presidents, and we're going to commit this horrible crime as your leaders. You know, and I thought that was a nice touch. Even now, I still think it's a great touch. I like that aspect of it, the rebellious aspect of it, the fact that they weren't doing it allegedly. They weren't doing it just to get rich. They had something to say. They were trying to. I don't know who they were going to get back to, but
Well, no, it was purely about funding their endless summer, quote unquote.
Right.
yeah,
They only stole what they needed. You know, these are good guys. They just took what they needed. They didn't go for the vault. They didn't get greedy.
until the
Come on.
end.
Till they got greedy.
Till the end.
They didn't get greedy until they got greedy.
And then what happened? They all start dying. So there's a
They
lesson.
were nice until it was time.
Well, so
to
you could
not
actually
be
make
nice.
the argument then that
Did you just
their
cut
whole
off?
reason-
You cut off my brilliant Roadhouse reference. You son of a.
Well, you used it a week or two ago, so we're good.
Yeah.
Continue, Brian.
This isn't nobody heard that.
So
on
you could
Remake.
make the argument that it's actually Utah's fault for their little turn to darkness, because otherwise they would have just done what they would have done. But
Nobody
in
would have
this-
been hurt.
right, but they found out he was he was FBI, so they're putting him in situations they wouldn't normally do. Things get a little crazier. You know, Bodhi's got to make choices that he'd never made before. He kind of went a darker route. You know, yeah, they're decent guys who were just basically funding their endless summer and everything. But golly, the man screwed it all up and turned them really bad.
Well, what doesn't work anymore? We've talked a lot about what does work. What doesn't work? Like what cannot? In this day and age, this just doesn't work. For me, to give you a hint where I'm coming from, the fact that he is an abysmal FBI agent, and at the end, basically, he gets his mentor killed. He gets several innocent people at a bank killed because, you know, he's got to save his girl. Hey, I get the saving your girl thing, but you let everybody else die to save her. You commit several crimes in the process, and then you just walk free and you can, you know, work with the police in Australia and that sort of thing.
And then dump your badge in the surf.
Yeah, throw it in the surf.
Yeah, you're responsible for ruining a DEA sting.
Yeah, let's not
And-
forget that one. You think I like wearing these clothes?
You know, I haven't seen my family in months. So
Paul Walker
yeah,
looks
yeah,
fantastic at this point compared to Johnny Utah. Johnny Utah is awful.
Mm-hmm.
What else doesn't work for you guys?
You know, I didn't like. I appreciate that the wizened elder had to die. That's always Obi-Wan is going to die. That's just how it goes with these hero's journey stories. But I really felt like they should have done it sooner in the film. To me, it took way too long for him to pass on. And I really, as much as I am a John C. McGinley fan, I really found his character in this movie to be almost intolerable. I mean, there is no way that a federal bureau guy who has got all these people that need to work as a team is going to treat his agents the way he treated Johnny Utah when he came walking in. I would much rather see someone who was as focused, but more on technology, more on getting bad guys, and less about calling the new guy a Blue Flame special.
Yeah, and that was like the 90s thing, right? 80s and 90s where the lead cop, the cop in charge, is always he just has his head straight up his bum and can't
Brass
see.
balls.
Yeah. In fact, except this time he's absolutely correct. Johnny Utah is an awful thing to be put on the street, and he didn't do anything except let the bad guy go over and over and over again. What about you, Brian?
I think the opposing duo of cops that they had who were always kind of picking on them. I think that's a bit. I think that's probably a bit of a cliche that just is kind of run its course at this stage. Yeah, there are people, especially in maybe a very type A personality field of work, that probably take they take jabs at each other. I get it, but
at least make it funny.
Oh yeah, you're almost like you're just being mean. You're not even being a smart ass. I just didn't like it. It just didn't seem to work. Like, at least there was no established history on why these people hate each other.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of the two Latin guys from the Bad Boys movies who were always trading jabs with Will Smith and Martin Lawrence's characters.
Mm-hmm.
At least those guys are kind of funny.
Mm-hmm.
These dudes were not funny. And if you're not going to play that for a joke, then don't play it at all. I agree with you, Brian.
So should this movie be remade at all? I mean, should it even be remade? I didn't realize we're getting one whether you want one or not, but that's what happens every time we do one of these episodes. But do you think it should be, or is this a movie that should be in no-touch status, which means you leave it alone?
I like it enough that I would like to see it remade, and a lot of that has to do with what Brian just said. I mean, quite often in these sorts of movies, your bad guys are straight bad guys. They may not be twirling a mustache, but they are villainous. In this movie, yeah, they were bank robbers. That's terrible. They broke laws, sure, but they never hurt anyone. They never really put anyone in danger. And so that's kind of a breath of fresh air. Bad guys who aren't that bad of guys until they suddenly get pushed into a corner and then everything goes to hell. But I like a villain that's just not so cliched.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like Bodhi as a character was a sympathetic, we talked about that recently on The Hollywood Outsider. I think he's kind of a sympathetic villain. I can kind of understand why he does what he does. And since he never shot anybody up until Utah came along, he's probably going to maintain being a good guy. So yeah, I'd like to see that kind of villain brought back to the screen.
And they do a good job of allowing the viewer to connect with him up until the point to where he's officially, turned bad guy or revealed as a bad guy.
Right.
You're kind of pulling for him, and you not so deep part of your brain, you really, at heart, he's the bad guy. You're just kind of waiting for it, but there's a part of you that's hoping he's not. And then because you like him, he's charming, he's fun, he's
cool, man.
He's cool as hell, and he takes up for our hero. So comes to his rescue once or twice. So.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Johnny Utah shagging his old lady. He's all right with that. He's not causing a fuss.
It's all good,
it's all
man.
Community property.
It's all good, man. It's all good. I think it needs to be remade just because I don't think it holds up at all. So as far as I'm concerned, I mean, the people that enjoy the old one are going to be nostalgic. People that are nostalgic. So make it for a new generation and bring it into the future, which... we came to a conclusion in terms of how classic is the movie. On a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being the most classic, we determined that it's about a 3. So that's the average of the 3 of us. Now what that means is we have to determine what our nostalgic moments are going to be. And that means we're going to have 3 nostalgic moments that are going to be reflected in our remake. So 3 specific scenes that reference the original movie. The 3 that were picked has to be beach football.
Oh yeah.
Utah, get me 2.
Almost one of the best lines of the 90s. For what I don't know why. There's nothing spectacular about it.
There's not at all.
But I will throw that line out in just conversation occasionally, and 9 times out of 10 somebody doesn't get it, but when they do, it's spectacular.
What do you say? Utah gave me 2?
Utah. We'll play it here in a second. You can hear the whole thing.
Okay.
And the bank robbery and Johnny has to be involved. Those are the 3. Beach football, Utah gave me 2, the bank robbery with Johnny involved. Now, before we actually talk about the remake, why don't you hear a little snippet of that apparently most important 90s line in cinematic history. Here you go.
Right around that corner, there is a sandwich shop.
Oh,
They sell meatball sandwiches. Best I've ever tasted. Would you go get me 2? Come on, partner. 2. Thank you. Utah!
Give me 2.
Give me 2.
Jeez. Nobody knows why that's so funny, but it's hysterical.
It is.
He keeps
It's
repeating
great.
it. This guy's an FBI agent. He doesn't need you saying it 4 times. Well, maybe he does.
Maybe Johnny Utah does. I would beg to disagree. I would beg to disagree.
He gets up to make his order and goes, whoa.
Whoa. Now let's remake this movie right. Before we get into our remake, let's tell you what we do know about the intended remake, or the one that is coming out on Christmas of this year, 2015. It stars Luke Bracey as Johnny Utah, Ray Winstone as Angelo Pappas. Is it Pappas, right?
Pappas.
And Edgar Ramirez as Bodhi. And it's directed by Erickson Cole, who was the director of photography for Fast and the Furious.
Huh.
Well, there's a connection, because it's, Fast and Furious is literally a remake of Point Break.
It's wet, furious.
It's like Point Break in cars. That's all it is. And basically, this one, the extreme sports that are featured in the movie include snowboarding, wingsuit flying, free rock climbing, high-speed motocross, and surfing 70-foot waves. So there's your remake. So let's get into how we want to remake it. We start with the plot. What kind of movie do we want to make with this, man? I mean, let's start off right off the bat. Do they need to be surfers? Just a question. Do they need to be surfers?
Yes.
Okay, why?
Because there's a whole spiritual aspect to it, and this is the
Oh,
one
Brian,
of the problems.
you're speaking for me.
This is one of the problems I have with this remake that's being done. Is it's about the extreme sports.
Thank you.
And
Preach it, brother. Hallelujah.
preach it, brother. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
A big element of this is that spiritual nature, and there is no other sports activity that is as spiritual in nature as surfing. No.
Why do you feel that way? Just for people that don't know anything about surfing, why do you feel?
Well,
that way?
all right. Let's just start. There's a term called soul surfer. Somebody. It's what you're feeling inside. It's not about winning medals or trophies or anything like that. I love to do this, to be one with the ocean, to be one with the earth, to the sun, the salty air, whatever it is that drives them and draws that person to the ocean to surf. There, people. Oh, I love to snowboard and I love to jump out of airplanes. It's such an adrenaline rush. That's about amping up that adrenaline like crazy. But this is about something way deeper, and I think that is one of the big aspects with Point Break is, and you're talking about that thumbing it to the man. It's also this corporate business world. He's undercover as a lawyer. You can't get much more opposite than what these lives that these guys are living, where they're okay. We don't maybe fully know it at the time, but they're robbing banks to live this world traveling,
Casual
permanent vacation lifestyle, right? So, and they even talk about around the campfire that one night about how that's not a life for me. There's no way I could do that. I'm so crazy about all this type of stuff. I'll probably be dead by 30. That kind of stuff. When you compare that with the suits of the lawyers and et cetera, it plays against that. From what the little bit I know about this one, that's kind of what scares me about this one here, is this one coming up. So to me, yes, it pretty much should still be surfers and revolve around surfing.
You agree, Justin?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's the thing about surfing, is that it seems to have this spiritual element that everyone who's involved in it seems to feel. And seems to, I mean, the ocean is a scary place, no doubt about it. But these people float out there into these deep waters on these, planks of wood or styrofoam, and they're in the middle of nowhere, kind of. It's like becoming one with nature, so to speak, where it's just you and the water, and you feel the rhythms of those waves as they're kind of coming and going, and you're watching it so intently because you're looking for that right wave to come along that you want to ride. So you're so focused on it. It's a part of you, and no other sport, I think, has that in it. And yeah, I'm, again, like Brian said, I really hate that this new one seems to be focused on extreme sports, because that's not what Bodhi and the rest of them were in surfing. about. It wasn't an adrenaline rush. Now, the skydiving was a little bit more of an adrenaline rush, but even then, there's a bit of a spiritual aspect because you're in the middle of nature's glory. You are falling through the air, and there is a beautiful thing about that. And when you see these guys sharing the friendship that they've got together and soaring around each other in the sky, you could make an argument that that's kind of sky surfing, and it goes right along with it. But the new one, they've got all this other crap going on, and to me, that undermines so much of Bodhi's character as he is in the original movie, and I think just turns him into another Triple X Xander Cage wannabe, and I don't want that.
Okay. Basically, our show says that if two hosts agree, we move on unless somebody uses a cut. Everybody always has a cut. At any point, you can say cut, and we have to cancel whatever the other person's idea is and go with yours. So I'm fine with that. You guys both agree. We'll keep them as surfers. Now, how do we do anything different with this movie? I mean, you're talking about what the actual remake is doing, where they're making it basically just about extreme sports. But how do we shake up our movie? It doesn't have to follow suit. We don't have to have the same characters. We can, other than obviously you guys agree that Bodhi should be part of it and Johnny Utah. So how do you feel it should play out? Is he FBI? Is there maybe a Homeland Security angle or something along those lines? I mean, how do we shake that up?
Well, since it's a bank robbery, you kind of have to keep it.
But see,
with...
it doesn't have to be bank robbery. We just have to have a
one
scene.
of the three things is bank robbery.
But we can always have something else, and then eventually there's a bank robbery so they can implicate Johnny Utah.
My feeling is the FBI's fine. I don't really care what branch of the government he's working in. The FBI works perfectly well. It works better than some. I would keep it that way. The changes I would make is one, I would kill off Pappas a little sooner. I think that the bureau director, played by McGinley, I think it should be a woman. If there's one thing that this movie, as it exists in the past, has, a lot of dudes and a lot of white dudes. I would make I would make that character a female character. And lastly, which
character would you make a female?
The Ted McGinley,
the captain, like the captain.
The captain character,
Gotcha.
Right? I think he's a director or AD or something, but
guy
special agent in charge,
he's got
whatever.
A badge, so
we can ask Scotch Calgaro; he could tell us. But one thing the biggest change I would make to it is that in order to draw Johnny and Pappas, their relationship a little closer, and to make Pappas's death a bigger hit than it is in the movie, which basically he gets shot in the back and we all move on. I would make the female surfer character his daughter.
The captain's daughter?
Huh?
The captain's daughter?
No, Pappas's daughter.
Oh, Pappas's daughter.
He doesn't even know she's involved with, or he doesn't know she's going to become a part of this, but I would make her his daughter, mainly because it would give Johnny and Pappas something to conflict over, but also something to draw them together. And when Pappas dies, it makes that moment a much harder experience, because it's not just Johnny's mentor that's dying, but it's also, who the father of the woman he's in love with, and kind of draws her more into it as well.
Here's the thing I don't want. I mean, I realize for the nostalgic moments we have to do a bank robbery, but I also think that is the most visible crime. So if you're going to implicate your FBI agent, that's a great way to do it. So if we're going to pay homage to the original, that's a great way to do it. But I don't think all the other crimes they're committing have to be bank robberies. Because I honestly think bank robbery at this point, and currently, is extremely lame. And I think we should do something to modernize whatever their crimes are, to bring them into the 21st century, so to speak, get them out of the 90s. Perhaps they take over CEOs, maybe at their home, maybe at the office, something along those lines, because those are currently, that's the man. Corporations are the man. And
now you're kind of starting to sell me a little bit. I was holding off, but
Well,
that's
see, and I was actually thinking maybe he works with a cyber division of the FBI, because let's say, it kind of lends a little bit more of maybe a nerdier, for lack of a better
more
term,
modern,
aspect to
less
him.
jock, more modern.
Right. And maybe he's, I don't know, maybe more of a one of those. He comes in with a hoodie and hipster looking skinny jeans or something, but yet he's some hacking genius or something.
Like maybe because the surfer, because guess what? Athlete or people that surf aren't always stupid anymore. I mean, that's not the 90s anymore. So you've got, they do a lot of cyber crimes. They're sticking it to corporations, and that's how they're getting away with it. So they have to pick somebody from the FBI that isn't in their field agent database, so to speak. So they go to somebody from their cyber division, pull Johnny Utah, because he hurt his knee in college or whatever. You can still use that. And so he's been sitting at a desk for forever, just aching to get back out there, just like every other FBI agent, apparently.
he's a blue flame special, man.
There
Gotta
you
burn.
go. Because they're going into, I do still like the president masks, because I think that says something and they're recognizable as these are leaders of your country. But that would be sticking it to both of the perceived men in the country by going to CEOs of major corporations and cyber stealing. So, I mean, basically getting the codes from them into their accounts, that sort of thing, whatever information they currently have, and taking.
So maybe they have masks of, say, Steve Jobs, Bill Gates. Let's see, what's the new
Trump?
the Trump and what's the guy from
Trump.
Facebook?
Zuckerberg?
Yeah, Zuckerberg.
Oh, like the modern pioneers, huh?
The only thing I would warn is that the further you get into the tech aspect, the further you drift from, I feel like you drift away from the spiritual aspect of these ne'er-do-wells. So a balance, or we need to find a way to balance the coldness of technology with
That's easy.
the warmth of their spirituality.
Oh, it's easy. All right.
I got this.
It's
I got
easy.
this. They got, look, there's what, 5 or 6 of them?
Mm-hmm.
4,
they've-
but we can go with more.
There's how many we choose.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, there was Rosie, there was James LeGros.
You got to get
Gross.
past. Come on, Brian. You've done this
No,
several
I'm just
times.
saying, but
get past the
they
old one.
had a group. There was more than just 4 of them.
True.
But anyway, the point is you've got 1 or 2 that are, let's say, just more advanced with the cyber stuff than the others. Everybody's got their specialty. Somebody's a driver. Somebody's a gunman. Somebody's whatever. There's, they all kind of bring a little something to the game. And
Do they all get cool little
Who does
nicknames?
Ludacris play?
Exactly. Do they all get cool little nicknames, like you can call him Tech and you can call him Grunt and you
Call
can
me
call
Cypher.
call
no,
him
this ain't
Gunner?
this ain't like 1985 GI Joe.
just checking.
So
I'm Roadblock.
So yeah, but you can have that one who is, while they all might have a certain skill, it's kind of like the guys from Silicon Valley or something. They all got their own little talents, but they all kind of come together and
What if these guys all met up because they're basically people that have lost everything from corporations? Like they
now, see, I think
spent all
that
their
part takes away from the spiritual aspect, because then it's a vengeance thing.
No, let me finish. They all and this can be told in a quick backstory around the campfire. They all at one point or another were corporate men, right? They were devoted to corporate men, and they lost their jobs, downsizing, that sort of thing. And they ended up destitute, broke, and they came upon Bodhi, almost like the Buddhist that he kind of is. And he taught them the ways that, all this stuff means nothing. You need your spiritual being to really feel that happiness and enlightenment. And he shows them that way, and he finds it through surfing, through bonding, through apparently crazy
Now
beach
through crime.
parties. What's that?
And now through crime.
And now through crime, because you got to pay for that stuff. It ain't free. And why not take it from the people that took it from us? It's not so much revenge. It's like we need to show these people that are hurting other people that you can't destroy people's lives. We'll take your money.
And one way to make them even more palatable is maybe a part of what they take from these guys, gets somehow distributed to to other people who are poor or need that money. So maybe you see them throw a sack of cash because it's got the dollar sign on the outside, into a
Obviously.
into a soup kitchen or something like that. There's ways you could do it, but
They rob a guy that looks like the Monopoly man. Is that?
yeah.
I like that. And also it adds a layer of it's a little harder to root against them when and I know this has been done in movies before, but so is everything. And it makes it harder to root against them if they're contributing back to society in some way. They're legitimately not doing it to be greedy. They're doing it to take from those guys and help, they pay for their basic expenses just to live, and the rest of it gets funneled out to help other people. So then when Johnny Utah even realizes that, he has more of a conundrum as opposed to just I like the guy and he's cool. He also has that, man, what they're doing is I actually get. I respect that.
They could actually be almost considered folk heroes by some of the people in the community, maybe.
Which help keep them hidden from the.
Yeah, there's different ways you could use that.
Our movie's already better than this remake.
Yes, it is.
No snow skiing, no, none of that extreme sports.
Yeah, no
BS.
Flying in those flying squirrel suits and whatever. Yeah.
So, what do they do when they go to the CEO? What are they doing? They're just getting the account passwords. Do they take his personal account or corporate account? I'm curious what you guys think on that one.
Maybe both.
Take a
Why stop at one?
Well, I would probably stick with just his money, because if you take the company's money, then innocent people who are just employees could suffer.
Yeah.
So I'd probably keep it to their personal, millions or billions. I think that's enough to fund another summer of surfing. So maybe they only hit a couple of a season or something. And
then to get to our where he eventually has that nostalgic moment of you got Johnny Utah involved in a bank robbery. Bodhi comes to think, well, Johnny Utah, you just think we're simple criminals. That's all we are. We're not doing this for enlightenment. We're not doing this for good reasons. So you know what? We're going to stoop to the level you think we are. We're going to go rob a bank. We're just going to do it old school.
Or,
uh-oh,
because he was in their cybercrimes division, maybe they have to use him to help break into some guy's password or break into his house or do something. Maybe their tech guy gets shot at some point.
Maybe he is stationed. Maybe he is stationed. His place of employment also houses whatever gazillions of dollars in seized funds, and they need Johnny Utah to access it.
Oh, even better. Yeah. Yeah, because they're always freezing bank accounts of
seasoned,
drug dealers,
gazillion dollars from drug deals or whatever, right? So they've got to use. They're like, we're not even doing the bank. That's so and they could even make that joke. Hey, that's so 20 years ago. Nobody robs banks anymore.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's so good. And he has to somehow get at least Bodhi, but maybe the whole crew, somehow get them into where because they don't want to take their eyes off of him.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So they've got to somehow get into this secured cyber defense facility, room, whatever, so that he can do what they're demanding. Otherwise, his lady love gets shot up by, what was his name again? Rosie?
Rosie. Yeah. His lady love.
Because Rosie's a bad man.
Mm-hmm.
He'll do bad things.
Interesting.
We're already so much better than the movie that's
I'm
out
so
there
pumped
now.
for this movie already.
So let's sum up where we are so far. Justin, why don't you sum up where we are so far? Like from what the plot of this is.
Well, Johnny Utah is an FBI. He works for the FBI, but instead of being a field agent, he's in their cyber tech division. He was hurt in college, which took him out of being a field agent. He is tasked with helping find these cyber thieves who seem to have gotten their hands on some money from these CEO guys. He gets paired up with an old crotchety agent who also happens to think he knows who's doing it or what kinds of people are doing it, and together they have to solve the crime that no one else thinks is the right people doing it. And unfortunately, Pappas dies along the way, and Johnny Utah, which I'm changing that stupid name. Johnny has to get pulled in so they can pull their last big heist to fund that eternal summer.
All right. You're changing what name?
Johnny Utah. It's a name that screams, I'm a fake name, even if 1,000 people have it.
I like it.
To me, it sounds as made up as my latest book.
Do you got a better one?
I don't.
Indiana Jones.
Oh, you shut your...
At least that's pulp. This isn't pulp. I mean, hell, we don't even have to go with Johnny, but just the Johnny Utah.
Sergio Utah.
Johnny, but that's just that.
Just call him Adam Nebraska. I mean, it's just a stupid name.
It is a stupid name, but I will tell you, you say Johnny Utah, people know Point Break.
That's true.
That's one of those things that it's synonymous at this point.
And if you're going to have that Utah Give Me Two, it's got to be a name that is no more than 2 syllables.
That's true. He does have a nostalgic moment. Utah Give Me Two's in there, so
that's going to be. I'm going to be saying that for weeks now.
Does the girlfriend now
see how it works?
Yeah, it gets in your head, man. It gets in your head. The girlfriend, the one that Pappas' daughter, right? Is that what we're going with?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Well, that's what I'm going with if y'all don't cut it.
I'm fine with it. Doesn't bother me any. I mean, hell.
I like the idea.
I like the idea as long as he doesn't know that she's part of it. Because then it adds another level of why he would go along with Johnny to try and go against these guys without calling him back up. Because that was one of the dumbest things in that whole movie. And there's a movie full of
he
dumb
doesn't find
things.
out about it until it's too late.
Right.
Yeah, like right before, just in the time frame of the movie, 5 minutes.
Oh, and that would be even better if the daughter doesn't know.
And she doesn't, maybe she doesn't even know at all or something.
Yeah, she doesn't know that her father's investigating surfers, and he doesn't know that she's kind of a part of that lifestyle. And so neither kind of knows what the other's doing until it's too late and Pappas is past us, so to speak.
Aw, poor Pappas. Poor Pappas. Okay, now, the only question I have is how does he get with the girlfriend? Is it the same thing where he needs surf lessons? Obviously, he's kind of a geek, so he doesn't know how to surf. So I would imagine that's still a good in.
Yeah, I think that works. I mean, as well as anything.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It does make it a big coincidence, though, that she does happen to be the ex-girlfriend of our villain, but
She doesn't have to be. They don't have to have ever dated. So we don't have.
All right, there you go. That's true enough. They don't. They could just know each other from the beach.
Yeah, man. Bodhi's my soul. I just understand where he's coming from.
But then we don't get that Bodhi moment where she was my woman.
We don't have. We don't get that. Do we have to have that moment?
No, I like it because it was so cheesy. But no, we don't have to have
There's
it.
a lot of cheese.
That was my woman, man. You think I like this?
Oh, that's funny. Now, when we get to as our movie's coming to a head, I assume we're going with the other stuff is going to be reminiscent of the original. Whereas, is there going to be a skydiving scene where he chases after him? After the botched robbery, and somebody innocently gets killed. I do say that I've got to have Johnny Utah at some point trying to save people, as opposed to letting innocent people get killed. I have a hard time with an FBI agent doing that.
Well, and especially since if we're going to go with they're pulling this crime in. No, are we talking about that their final crime is going to be Utah?
It's when they're setting Utah up because this is our last score. We need to be quick. We don't have time to do a cyber crime. So we're going to set him up so that he takes the fall. And
so that we're using a bank robbery as strictly a reason to set him up.
Yeah, basically. Set him up and clear out for good. We're done. You guys have you have thought of us as simple criminals. So we're going to show you what simple criminals do. We do just a generic bank robbery, but we're setting you up for it.
I can go with it for now. We would refine it later, but for now,
all right.
Broad brush strokes, it works.
Now, does Bodhi get away at the end, or does he die like he did in the original, or does he get caught?
Well, are we not doing the breaking into the complex type thing then, or does that come after this, or
I think that's before the bank robbery.
That's got to be before that. Yeah, because the bank robbery would be the last crime.
Because see, here's what you. Shoot. Here's what you could do. Johnny with Bodhi and whoever else is in the cybercrimes department. They're trying like heck to get this money. And at the last second, something goes wrong, whether they set off an alarm, somebody sees something, whatever. Alarms go off. They have to get out of this building.
There you go.
A couple people end up maybe getting shot along the way. And as they're fleeing, Bodhi says, we didn't get this money. We have got to get money. Otherwise, we are done. And they see a bank and they're like, screw it. This is what we're doing.
That I like. That makes a lot more sense than anything I said.
Yep.
And it works. That works with everybody. That works.
Boom.
That works. Yep.
Full circle. Now, does he die at the end? Does he get away?
Check the gate. Let's go.
Does he die at the end, get away, or get arrested?
I think he dies. And I don't think, though, he gets the noble send-off that he got in this first one. I think that after doing everything he's done, especially with the bank robbery and people getting killed, he's got to pay for that with his own life. So I would have him get taken out. Now, should we do it in the midst of some spectacular skydive, or should it be a car chase, or maybe a boat race or something? I don't know, but I think he should die.
My side of this is I like the ending of the original, that he goes to Australia. He finds this one perfect wave he's been looking for his whole life, after he's the only one of the criminals that got away. And Utah catches up to him. Utah is still in good graces, by the way. He's not the idiot cop that he was and disgraced and all that stuff. Catches up to him, catches him, and I want him to get arrested right before he rides that last wave. So his punishment is, you finally got the one thing you've been searching for your whole life. And because of everything you did, you'll never see it. You'll never feel it.
I like that.
And it's snatched from you just before you grasp it.
Yep, just from the jaws, you're right there, man. You were getting ready to go out on your board. He does this whole very similar speech where he's trying to sell Johnny Utah. He's trying to sell him on, come on, man, there's one more wave. It's all I need. It's all I need. And everybody in the audience is thinking, we're going to have that same moment. We're going to have the same moment where it looks like he's going to let him. And then he just puts the cuffs and takes him away. And he just gets the parting shot is him looking back at
and
that
the
last
Australian
wave.
version of the SEALs team comes creeping out of the shoreline, and they're like, you ain't going anywhere,
Shut
buddy.
your face. I was about to say that. The SEALs come up out of the surf.
Like, look, the cops are they're still, I got time to get out. And he was like,
They come out
all right,
looking like
bro.
black creature from the Black Lagoon with guns.
And he's like, yeah, man, go for it. And all of a sudden they come creeping up like ghosts coming out of the water.
Is his girlfriend still called Tyler? Like in the
No, I changed her name.
Okay, what name you want to go with?
I went with Maya. I borrowed
Really?
it from my book Stillwater, which all of you can purchase from Amazon.
Wow.
Jesus.
You narcissistic
You
bastard.
freaking...
I love that name, and I
Why? Because it plugged your book pretty similar? It sounds like
because
a
I looked through a
character from
list of-
Fast and the Furious is what it sounds like.
I like Maya.
I like Maya too, but it is a character. I guess it's an homage, a nod to Fast and Furious, if you will.
I didn't even think about that part of it.
You fibber.
It was more because I have
you're
an
too busy
idea
with your
for who
book in your
could
lap.
play that character, and the person who I think would play that character looks like my vision of Maya. So that's kind of what led me to it.
Brian, what are your thoughts on the Maya?
I'm rolling my eyes if this was a video thing, but if y'all are cool with it, hey, 2 out of 3.
I don't like it just because of the Fast and Furious connection, honestly.
It didn't. I mean, the name was just something I picked. It's nothing I'm married to.
That would be my only concern is, but I do think you could, man, I see it as really close. I think people would be saying that the entire time, especially people that have never seen the original Point Break, and they don't realize that it's Fast and Furious is already ripping that one off.
I don't remember character names. I don't even know who was Maya in Fast and Furious.
Jordana Brewster.
Oh, see, to me, she was always just his wife. I never remembered her name. I couldn't tell you.
She was, hey, you know that Jordana Brewster character.
Yes.
All right, well, Brian, you can be deciding factor. What do you think? It's your call. Maya or something else?
I never considered another name, so I'm fine with Skylar.
It was Tyler.
Tyler.
Well, let's talk about Johnny Utah. Who's going to play Johnny Utah?
This guy is deceptively young looking, or at least I think he can be that way. Although when I saw him in a movie with a beard, he looked really creepy. But Adam Scott, I just don't know if he's
older than I would have thought.
He's I don't know how old the guy is, but I mean he's been around for I guess a decade, so I don't know. But he's got a young enough look. I mean, you spend 4 or 5 years in college. You're kind of new to the bureau. Maybe you got a couple of years experience there, but so he could pull off mid. I think he could pull off mid to late 20s.
I don't know, man. He does look kind of old.
I mean,
yeah.
I mean,
he looks. If he couldn't get away with less than 30, there's no way.
Really?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I'm kind of agreeing there.
Yeah,
he's a great comedic actor, but he looks just a little too old for it.
It does kind of play into the whole, the scene where he's picking out a surfboard and the prepubescent kid that's selling it to him is like, hey, old guys are into it, man. A lot of old people are getting into it, and whatever. Hey, I'm 30. Yeah, that's my point. What? So
well, let's hear the
Did
other
you say
choice.
he was 30?
No, but you could do it.
Okay.
Justin, who is your choice? And we'll vote.
I went with Aaron Taylor Thomas, or Aaron Taylor Johnson, rather.
From Kick-Ass and Quicksilver?
Yeah, he played Kick-Ass. He played Quicksilver. I think that he looks like he could play smart and believably. He also, he could definitely look good on a surfboard, but he could trim his physique so that he doesn't look too good on it. He's the appropriate age for it. I think he's 24 or 25. I like the look of him. And I've liked him in the things I've seen him in.
I thought he was pretty wooden.
Yeah, I think he's my pick is Zac Efron. And I know, that's
I think he's too old too.
Too old. He just played a kid in college like the last summer.
Well, he was his last year in college after doing it for too long. To me, he looks like if he's under 30, I'm shocked.
Well, I'm pulling cut. I'm pulling cut. I want Zac Efron. I like Zac Efron. There's my cut. Ha! I like it. Now you got to deal with it.
It's not my movie, so.
Who do you want for Bodhi? Who do you guys have for Bodhi? Justin?
All right, I'm going.
This one was hard. I had 3. I narrowed it down to 1, and I could still pick one of the other 2 and still feel fine with it. I am going to go with Christian Bale. I think he's just at the right age. I think he, maybe put on a little beard, grow the hair out, put him on a surfboard. I think he could play that soulful side of things, but I think he could also play incredibly ruthless when he has to. So that's who I went with, but I've got 2 backups just in case he gets sick.
We've got plenty of other options. Brian, who's your number 1 pick for Bodhi?
Mine is Luke Arnold.
I don't know who that is.
Who?
Do you not know who he is?
Never heard of him.
All right, he's in the Starz pirate show called Black Sails. He's one of the main characters in that. He was also in the NXS biopic. He played Michael Hutchins. I don't know what else to really tell you about him.
Okay.
You can
Google him.
Sent you guys a picture of him.
Well,
because I figured you guys wouldn't. I was going to be prepared. So,
oh yeah. I mean, he's certainly got the look for it.
He's Australian.
He is pretty.
He's got swag. I think he can definitely pull off that vibe.
Okay.
My pick was Oscar Isaac, who, if you saw
I hadn't thought of that, but that's good.
Ex Machina, he's the owner. He's the Steve Jobs of Ex Machina. Machina, whatever. He's been in a ton of. He's that guy that nobody knows until you see him. But
he's in Star Wars coming up.
Yeah, he's in Star Wars coming up. But he is such a great character actor.
I liked him a lot in Sucker Punch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's a really good actor. So, who wants to shift their vote? Anybody shifts their vote? Two wins it.
Cut. I'm going with Luke Arnold.
Okay, you're going with the guy nobody knows. All right.
Maybe it'll make you curious and watch a little bit more than your crappy USA Network channel shows.
Well, hey, Ash vs. Evil Dead's coming on Starz, so I will be checking Starz out at some point. There you go. Okay, there's his cut. Well, we got 2 cuts. Justin, you still got yours. You can use it anytime you want.
I have a feeling I'm going to be.
Who do you want for Papas? My pick was Forrest Whitaker.
You're in the right direction. Good. That's a good choice. I
Okay.
could go with that.
That's Forrest Whitaker. I think he's got that crazy eye that attacks you wherever you go. I like that.
He's constantly accusing you.
He's
wherever he
constantly
looks.
wherever you go. He's like that painting. He's just like, why are you staring at me, bro? Why?
What are you looking at? What are you looking at?
I think he can. Utah, give me 2. I think he could do it just fine, and almost as crazy as Busey. What do you guys got, Brian? What do you got?
All right, I've got a guy that was actually originally scheduled to be Bodhi, but I kind of like him better, especially when he's a little bit more portlier, and that's Gerard Butler.
Okay, I like
Not
Gerard Butler.
bad. Not bad.
Justin, can you
He's
top it?
almost more of a Bodhi than a Pappas to me. I picked Lawrence Fishburne. This film definitely needs some color added to it, and with the direction I wanted to go with the romantic angle, I figured Lawrence Fishburne would make a good father to this actress, and I think he's got some great chops. But I'm actually gonna go with your Forrest Whitaker. I like it.
Really? Okay.
It's
Sweet.
an inspired choice, and I never would have thought of it.
Sweet. All right. Now we're down to what do we decide her name is? I can't remember. Is it Mia or
Terry
Tail?
Crews.
Mia or Tail? Terry Crews would be fantastic.
Except he can't die. Nothing can kill Terry Crews.
Oh man, if you want, well, man, I love
Maybe
Terry Crews.
maybe we're redoing this. Pappas doesn't have to die.
Son of a bitch, I like Terry Crews. I do.
And he can definitely pull off the Utah. I mean, he could scream it, and you will just about shit your pants and give him number 2.
Give me 2. No, 4.
Justin, if you're willing to come over, I would switch my vote for Terry Crews.
All right. Yeah, we'll go
Y'all
with Terry
cool with that?
Crews.
All right,
All
Terry
right.
Crews it
Do that.
is.
It's only bringing some
no.
humor into the movie that is desperately needed.
And he's good with heart too. I mean, if you ever saw his old Chris Rock show, he could pull both off. He's funny and he's got some heart too. Okay, who's going to be? Is it Tyler or Mia? What is the solution?
Maya.
Whatever. You said
Mia.
Maya. What's the vote? Somebody's got to vote. I say I really don't care.
Well, who's your pick? We haven't even said who we're picking yet.
Nina Dobrev was my pick, but I guess it doesn't really go so much with Terry Crews.
That's why you got to think ahead, bro. My character does.
Woof. Let me hear
Even
your
with Crews, it works.
Let me hear your character. I'll come back to me.
I picked Zoe Kravitz.
Oh, I'm on board. I love her. Yeah.
All right,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
good enough for
Yep,
me.
I like her quite a bit.
Boom! I didn't even have to use a cut.
Let's call her
I
Zoe.
thought I was going to have to fight for that.
Let's call her Zoe.
Yeah, you could just about get. I mean, it's that kind of hippie-ish name anyway. So, you know,
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
go with-
it adds a spice to the romantic angle. I like the choice, but I'm glad you guys like it as well.
Sweet. All right. Let's move
That's all
on.
right.
Is there anything else we need to switch for our movie, or have we accomplished everything we needed to accomplish?
Did we do who's directing it?
No, we didn't. What do you guys think? Who should direct our masterpiece? Because this is obviously better than whatever that was in the 90s.
I went a little cliche at this point. I said Justin Lin.
I knew that was coming.
He just is so good with these kinds of action films.
Justin Lin, for those that don't know, he did Fast and Furious 4, 5, and 6. Brian, you anybody better?
probably because his name is fresh in my head because we've talked about him recently with the last couple of episodes for the Hollywood Outsider. But I want to see what Guy Ritchie could do with this property. It gets me excited and scares the bejesus out of me at the same time. I'm very bipolar about this. I'm not lying. It's I can see his style in a number of scenes doing a few things. God, I mean, especially think about his style of if we were, and this was one of my choices, which didn't get picked, but the chase, the on foot chase after they set the gas station on fire, and then and it's you're running through houses, they're throwing dogs at each other, just running through glass windows, alleys, through living rooms, you name it. And I just kind of think about something like that. He could,
I'm just worried if you take him out of England, it's going to lose something.
I agree. I mean, I agree. It's a step of faith. That's. But
I'll go with Justin Lin. I don't have enough faith in Guy Ritchie. He's done 2 Sherlock Holmes movies that I like, but I haven't seen a lot of action stuff that I think he's really good at. I think he's a little too scattershot with his editing, and I like Justin Lin. He's obviously proven he can handle a crazy balls out franchise, so I like that. Now, do you think Justin Lin could handle the spiritual aspect? I mean,
hey, if he can handle Vin and it's about family, I think he could probably handle the spiritual stuff.
We need a Vin Diesel cameo. He's got to drive by.
Oh God!
Point,
if he drove by in that black, was it a Barracuda?
Whatever it is, I don't know what the kind of car
I would crap bricks and then leap in joy.
I would pay to see that movie just to
because
see him just drive by.
It would be Point Furious from there on out. It would be glorious.
Point Furious. All right, I think we've got our movie, right? It sure sounds like we got a movie.
I think so. Brian, you ready to put some money up?
Yeah, Brian's funding it. Brian's
God,
trailer.
I'm so excited. I'm
this is Georgia
I'm
Peach
ready.
Pictures.
All it needs is a Vin Diesel cameo, and I was gonna say Paul Walker CGI'd in, but that would probably be a little too much.
That's going a bit far.
It was sad how many times when I was looking for a new Johnny Utah through the different lists of actors, how many times I saw Paul Walker and said, "Oh, he would make great." Oh,
he would. Now he still looks like he could pet, or when he before he
was probably 40 when he died. He could probably still pull off 25.
He could have. Unlike Adam
so while
Scott,
you're at it, just cast Robin Williams as Pappas.
That's awful. That's awful. All right, guys.
Break into characters.
Well, it's time for our final pitch. That is where we put all this together for you and present it in movie trailer form. Brought to you through the vocal stylings of voiceover artist Wayne Henderson. Here is our trailer for Point Break.
In a world consumed by greed and ruled by company men, one man is leading his crew on a crusade to take the system on, one CEO at a time. When the FBI is brought in to bring this band of merry thieves down, Agent Pappas takes rising star Johnny Utah with him, going deep undercover to get close to Bodhi, the seemingly tranquil soul surfer behind it all. Seduced by Bodhi's worldly charms, Utah quickly gets in over his head as he fights to remember which side of the law is he even on. Forget that cheesy flick of the 90s and join director Justin Lin for a freshly energized vision. Starring Zac Efron, Terry Crews, Zoe Kravitz, and Luke Arnold as Bodhi. Wait, who's Luke Arnold? Doesn't matter. Join us for an amped up take on a cult classic. Next summer, Point Break.
There you go. Good job.
Nice.
Good job, Wayne.
Nice.
Good job.
Good job.
What do you guys think? Did we nail it, or if you think you have a better pitch, email us.
We nailed it. We sanded it. We shaped it, and I am now sleeping in it.
It is beautiful.
We shellacked the heck out of it.
We did.
If you think you've got a better one, if you think you can top this, Terry Crews is in your Terry Crews. Give me 2. Oh, I can feel that. You can email it.
No, make it 8. Damn it, I'm hungry.
Give me 8. Utah, give me 8. Email us your pitch at remakethismovieright@gmail.com. That's remakethismovieright@gmail.com. And we'll mention your pitch in the next show, or your questions or your thoughts on this episode and the casting. You got better ideas for all these characters? Feel free.
Really? I think we nailed this.
Or if you think we nailed it, email us that. Review us on iTunes. Give us a thumbs up in Stitcher. Make sure you put our RSS feed in your podcasting app of choice if you haven't already. I want to make sure to plug Wayne Henderson once again, who does our wonderful trailers here at Remake This Movie Right. You can find his podcast, Packers Fan Podcast, Under the Dome Radio. Why do I sing it? Because they do. Or go to mediavoiceovers.com. He's a very talented voiceover artist, and if you're ever looking for one, that is where you can find him. Dustin Baker, thank you for the logo, as always. I appreciate that. We do have a Remake This Movie Right Facebook group. Be sure to check it out. It's not just for fans of the shows, for anybody who wants to talk about remakes, man. There's a lot of remake information going out, and we talk about it.
Lots of it. Too much of it.
Now, Justin McCumber, where can people find you? Tell them all about your books and your plugs and your podcasts.
No, I hear that when I promote myself...
This is your opportunity to promote yourself.
Oh, this is what I'm supposed to do?
Yeah, that's when you're supposed to do it.
You can find me at justinmccumber.com. The site is being... a new site's being worked on for me, so if you see it and you don't like it, come back in a few weeks. It should look better. Facebook.com/Justin McCumber. Twitter is Justin McCumber. I mean, it's pretty much the same thing everywhere. And go to Amazon. Got 4 books out right now, horror, sci-fi, and 2 paranormal fantasies. Pretty proud of all of them and writing a 5th one as we speak.
Woohoo! And you've also got a podcast, Dead Robot Society.
I do the Dead Robot Society podcast. It's made by a bunch of writers for people who want to be writers themselves. Almost 8 years with this month. It's 8 years we've been doing that podcast.
Wow. And Hollywood Outsiders 4. So you are a podcast pioneer.
I feel like a podcast ancient. I'm an elder.
And Brian, where can people find you? Anything you want to plug? Your Twitter, your whatever?
Well, that's about all I got, really. Twitter, BrianWMS. That's Brian WMS at Twitter.
I don't think it's at Twitter. I think it's at Brian WMS.
You know, if you're on Twitter, you know how to use it. Apparently, I don't. So
that's funny. Okay, and I'm Aaron Peterson. You can find me on The Hollywood Outsider. You can find me on The Blacklist Exposed, which is starting up again in about, that's pretty quick, actually. By the time you listen to this, we should be gearing up for the new season. You can find Remake This Movie Right at remakethismovieright.com. You can tweet us at Remake Right. That's at Remake Right. That's going to do it for this episode of Remake This Movie Right. Thanks, Brian and Justin, for making a great movie.
Thank you for letting me come on your podcast and make this wonderful movie.
We're all going to be rich.
How rich are we going to be?
So rich. So rich. All right. And the next movie you see, remember, it will get a remake someday. Probably really soon. And only you can make it better.